Welcome back to session 2 of JA Our Nation. You will need your table tents from last session, your supplemental stickers if you're choosing to implement that as well, the volunteer guides for teachers and volunteers. You will also want your session 2 flyers, the Get Connected game boards, as well as the Get Connected game sets. In a set, you will want to make sure you have the sheets. They are labeled ABC. You'll want to have one of each. Go ahead and tear those apart. Place those cards as well as one dice and 4 colored game pieces in a baggie. That way they're easy to hand out for your students. You will also need your resources poster as well as the STEM poster. During your introduction, go ahead and greet the students and hand out their table tents. Define resource and the difference between natural, human, and capital resources. I usually talk about that first before I display the poster, but I also put the poster up for reference later on in the activity. I use the examples also in the classroom and in their school to relate to their lives. So I try to find examples in their school of natural, human, and capital resources. Then what I do is I change over to the supplemental activity. Again, it is found after activity 1, so your last session, it should be in between sessions 1 and 2. I invite the owner and cashier from the last session up to the front, and then we complete activity number 3 in the guide, allowing the students to provide suggestions. I define what a partnership is, and then we role play the numbers 4 and 5. Again, those students will also add their sticker to their table tent, so that way you can kind of keep track of who is who. And I connect the resources that are used during that role-playing session to the beginning activities where you're talking about the different resources. Again, you'll want to display the resources poster, define technology, scarcity, and opportunity cost. So now you're back to the actual session 2 activity portion, the introduction and activity. I talk about opportunity cost in relation to a business and how a business might be affected if they can't afford the latest technology. Ask the questions in the guide. They have some great ideas of things to bring out, as well as feel free to bring in your own materials as well. Then I go on and I define what a technophobe and a technophile is. That relates it very well with the Get Connected game board. During the activity, you will start by explaining the game. Sometimes what I do, depending on classroom arrangement, is I have the students gather around one desk and I play around together. That way they can kind of see how that game works. Again, we really recommend that you organize your materials beforehand. Make sure that you divide out the cards and the dice and the game pieces, one baggie per group. For this game, the way that it's played is there are different spaces that the students will have. One of them are they'll get to add some technology points on certain areas. They might have to go back a space. I encourage all students to actually read what happens out loud. When they see the Get Connected or land on the Get Connected space, they are expected to draw a card and then they're asked to answer a question regarding what's on the card. Sometimes what they will do is they will get points. For these, when they do land on a space or they earn a card and they get it correct, they will earn or lose points. The way to keep track of that is actually found in the flyer this time. Some volunteers will have each student track the points for the group. Others will have just one person who's kind of like the secretary. So inside the front page, there it shows each player. I encourage the students to write each player's name underneath the player number, and then we talk about how they have to keep track. So obviously if they get 0 points for the round, I encourage them to make a 0 there, and of course if they get plus or minus points, they should record that as well. I also show them how to go about keeping a running score. So if they were 0 the first time and this time they earned +2, they would have a total of 2. If they were at +2 and they had to subtract 1, now their running tally would then be at a 1. So again, make sure that you demonstrate that to them so that they can understand that. If you have a group that finishes early, you might want to just have them start the game over again if they have time. At the end, talk about the different things that happened during the game, review the terms, and tell them that next session they will explore the skills that are needed for different kinds of jobs. Collect the table tents at the end and thank the students for their time. Enjoy session 2.